Hello everyone, who are fun and doing great. Welcome to Leo's Tech channel. If you're new here, welcome, and I'm so happy to see you all once again. In a cutting edge of technology and state of art, almost every company, whether it's a small enterprise or bigger companies, they are trying to find out the key employees. Who are the key employees? Mostly nowadays, as you'll notice, there's a lot of threat, there are a lot of vulnerabilities, there are a lot of risks, especially in our digital devices or in our digital data. That's why most of the company trying to find out the key employee, such as cybersecurity engineer, or we can say network security engineer, cybersecurity network analysis engineer, whether it is on the cloud or on premises, right? So today what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover the three main and the most fundamental for the cybersecurity. If you learn this stuff, whether you believe it or not, you almost cover the main and most important keys if you're working as a network engineer, as a system engineer, or as a network architect, or as a network security engineer, or cybersecurity engineer. Let's say you're a project manager, you're an IT project manager trying to find out what are the keys and what is necessary in order to secure our digital data from external attack, whether it's internal and external attack. Let's say you're using HTTP, you're using FTP, and you're downloading some file and you doesn't know which kind of file you're downloading and so on. I'm going to talk about the three main principles within the second. If the sound is very interesting, what are you waiting for? Let's go. Alright guys, today we're going to discuss about the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Probably some of you or most of you are familiar about this word, but I want to go with more details. This is one of the most and key component. If you are preparing yourself for CISSP or for CCIE and so on, these are the most important thing that you should keep in your mind. Let's talk about what is confidentiality first. Confidentiality ensures that the information is accessible only to those who are authorized to access it. It involves protecting data from unauthorized access as well, which is very, very important and necessary as well. Before we move on, talk about the integrity, there are some stuff that we need to talk about. Confidentiality. Guys, data in the terms of the cybersecurity, data is in three states. We have a data in rest, data in motion, and data in use. Data in rest is a type of data which you are not using. Let's say the pen drive that you have, external hard drive that you have, or you turn off your computer and you're not turning on. Maybe you turn on your computer tomorrow, or some files, Excel file or PDF file, whatever, you want to modify it and save it in this storage in some place that you don't want to share with anyone. That is a data in rest. What is data in motion? Data in motion is, let's say, your monitor, your desktop, your monitor. What if someone stopped by your shoulder and look at your monitor and get a lot of information? So the solution for that is, if you went to any bank, you may encounter they are using some sort of monitor protection. They're using some filter. You cannot see what they are seeing or what they are doing, right? The other types of data is data in use. What is data in use? Let's say you're sending a file, receiving a file, uploading file, downloading file. Those kind of files are in use. Or if you're using voice over IP or talking with someone through the phone, that is data is in use. Means it's very easy to capture, right? It's very easy to capture. It is very easy to capture the data and rest. It's very easy to, let's say, capture data in motion and so on. In order to avoid these kind of attack, what we're going to do is, probably my suggestion is, in the old-fashioned people were using telnet. My suggestion is to use SSH. So in the old-fashioned people used to use HTTP. My suggestion is use HTTPS. So in the back in the time, people used to use FTP, file transfer protocol. These are the protocol that is no longer using it. Maybe at some company they are using, but my suggestion is trying to use what? SFTP, secure file transfer protocol, and so on. These were types of example, and I thought to share with all of you. So we have discussed about types of data in rest, data in motion, and data in use. So in order to access, let's say, site A want to access site B, what we're gonna do, we need to set up a VPN. We need to set up a VPN, and we have to know or we have to know types of technology where we can encrypt our data. We don't want like plain text, telnet. If you want to access the telnet, what if a man-made attack is in the middle? If I want to access, let's say this is me, I'm trying to access the let's say the firewall, or let's say I'm trying to access the switch, typing username and password, but I'm using telnet. It's clear text, right? Most of you or some of you know that it is not secure. In order to secure it, what we're going to do, we have to use SSH instead of telnet. Let's say if someone trying to access my website, which is HTTP, what I'm going to do, I have to change from HTTP to HTTPS. HTTPS use SSL or /TLS kind of protocol or kind of encryption algorithm, which is harder, which even is not easy for hackers to disclose or see what is inside or what's going on in the background while I'm using the website. So these are the stuff that we have to keep in our mind to make sure to secure our data from malicious attacks. So another portion is integrity. So the question is, what is integrity? Integrity focuses on the accuracy and reliability of information. It ensures that data is remain very pure and clean, and I can say trustworthy during of storage, transmission, and processing. So that is one of the another key component that you should keep in your mind. Nowadays, what we have, most of the firewall, let's say the next generation firewall, does come with a kind of technology which is called checksum. What is checksum? Is a kind of SSL, or we can say that SSL certificate when we want to download a file from the genuine website. If you're downloading from ungenuine website, so probably you are welcoming malware. You are welcoming ransomware application in your computer. So in order to avoid those kind of things, we have to make sure that we are using the genuine website, and our firewall is smart enough to capture those kind of fake links, because our firewall using checksum, and our firewall is tracking every link one by one. And nowadays with most of firewalls, let's say with a new generation firewall, it does come with the SSL certificate tracking and TLS certificate tracking to make sure that you are accessing the genuine website. In the terms of integrity, keep these things in your mind. And also we can call this portion as hash or hashing as well. Do we have to use some sort of technology in order to avoid those kind of attack? Number 3 is availability. So the question is, what is availability? Availability ensures that the information and systems are accessible and usable when needed. It involves preventing and mitigating disruptions to the services. So ensure timely access to the data and minimizing downtime. So there's a lot of things that we can discuss about this one, but my aim is to just keep these things in your mind. Let's say we have network interface card teaming, we have a multipath, we have a lot of things. What is network interface card teaming? The network interface card teaming is a kind of technology. Let's say we have a switch in here. This is a switch, this is a switch, and I'm going to configure VLAN. What is VLAN? I'm trying to configure VLAN. I'm trying to configure trunking. I'm trying to configure high availability. HA is stand for high availability. So because the last one is availability, I just want to make sure that what if one switch goes off and the other switch should take care of the other switch. Guys, if you remember, we have a lot of technologies using, let's say, hot standby routing protocol. We have a lot of technologies using in order to avoid the let's say denial of services or distributed denial of services. So with the firewall, guys, if you remember in here, in my example, I have a one firewall, but what if I have a two firewall in here? I really need to have a two firewall in order to avoid these kind of attacks. So two firewalls, active passive, or we can say active. This one is also active and this one is also active, or this one is active and this one is passive. If something's happened with this firewall, I should have a backup of firewall. Let's say I don't want any disruption while the customer is trying to access the internet and so on. At some cases, we probably need to configure load balancer as well. What is the main purpose of load balancer? Keep the data emotion, where it's emotion, where in use, and you don't want any interruption. The load balancer is if there's too much load. Let's say a hacker's trying to attack in one port which is full and the data is buffering. If the data is buffering, if there is no any other solution, we have to wait until the buffering is resolved. So in order to avoid buffering and those kind of attack, we have to have load balancer. Load balancer is a types of technology nowadays. It does come with the hardware as well that you can configure. Let's say if there's a too much request to one port, I will allow another request to go through another port. So let's say port number 1 is busy with one task of job, and the port number 2 is busy with another task as well. This is how we can trying to avoid, let's say, to not disrupt while I'm using the internet. The company using, let's say the CEO is using, the HR, and anyone who want to use the internet, I want to avoid it. FT, which is called fault tolerance as well. Alright guys, I hope the information was very helpful. Alright guys, I hope the information was very informative. If you think so, the only way to appreciate my work is to simply subscribe and like the video. Plus, you need to share this kind of information with your friend, with your colleagues, with whoever you think they're pursuing such a valuable information. Until next time, stay safe, be brave, and stay curious as well. In a cutting age of technology, if you're not curious, there are people who are very curious and they put their eyes on your company, organization, so on, and they're trying to find out how to get the most valuable and confidential information from your company, whether you're at home, at the office, or some places. All right, until next time, stay safe, be brave, and of course see you guys next time.